So hey guys, how's it going? I'm doing okay. This is an anime review. Um, Again, it's done on grainy webcam stuff because kind of fighting with my settings. I really wish I could have a higher quality camera, and right now, for some reason, like my microphone doesn't seem to be like it's clearly working, but it doesn't seem to be like as high quality as it was before. So I'm trying to figure out what my computer's doing. So, because this is a very high quality headset, so yeah, I've been fighting with that. I didn't do this yesterday because I spent most of my day sleeping because I have girl problems and I was pretty sick and in pain, so I'm doing this now. And it is nighttime, but I found that the only thing that daytime seems to do is like wash out the colors even more. So I guess I'm not too worried about that. As long as I can get higher quality camera, I think I'll be much happier person. But anyways, enough about me rambling on about trying to get everything fixed. Eventually it'll be good. It's a work in progress. So, the anime we're reviewing this week is Fushigi Yuugi. It's a pretty old one. It's like early 2000s, late 90s. It's based on the manga by the same name, by the artist Yu Watase. Here is the first VHS of it. Yeah, so I have all the VHS. I actually got them off eBay for $10.50 because this girl was upgrading all her stuff to DVDs, and I cling to VHS. Like, if you could see my shelf right now, you'd know I have like pretty much 85 to 90% of the animated Disney movies all in VHS, except for the ones that, of course, were never made to VHS. Um, a lot of my anime is VHS. I have a lot of recorded tapes and a lot of cartoons from my childhood. So, like, I'm a pretty big VHS person. That, and for Fushigi Yugi to get the DVDs, you have to sell, like, your soul, your arm, your leg, and your firstborn child. Like, they are atrociously expensive. They're probably the most expensive DVDs for anime I have ever seen. Like, because I wanted them so bad when I was younger, and I looked at the price and I was like, this is over $100 per freaking season. What up? So, like, yeah, it was the most expensive price I'd ever seen on an anime. So I basically thought it was like this really pretentious anime that was like so hard to get into because of how expensive it was. But my friends had gotten into the manga, and this is definitely like this is the second manga that I ever read. My first was Chobits. So like, all my friends were into it, and I was like, I don't want to get into that because usually if there's too many people into something, I'm like, no. But I got sucked in, and I loved it. The art style is very beautiful, and Yu Watase's art is just very unique. Like, you know when something's by her. Like, you can go, that's Yu Watase. Her art is very girly, very detailed. She makes her men both very fit and slim, but buff at the same time. Her girls pretty much all have like the same figures though, very curvy but thin figures. Um, the only thing that she seems to have off sometimes is like sometimes her faces aren't entirely like lined up properly, but like one eye will be, like that, like uneven eyes and stuff. But all in all, she's really good. The one funny thing that a lot of people make a joke about with her is that most of the hairstyles she makes are completely impossible. Like when cosplaying, styling like a wig for a character of Yu Watase's is pretty much like, uh, all the hair gel and glue in the world will not help this. But yeah, so. But I'm a huge fan of Yu Watase. This is not the only manga of hers I have read. And, they did a pretty good job adapting her style into the anime, too, whilst also, adding a little bit more liveliness to it. So there's that. Let's see. Let's just talk about the general story. I didn't mean to start with the art, but we started with the art. Alright, so the story is there is Miyaka and Yui. They are both middle schoolers getting ready to get into high school. Miyaka's mother really wants her to get into this really, like, super good high school that, with Miyaka's grades and focus, is pretty much impossible. Miyaka daydreams all the time about food, and stuff. Yui, on the other hand, who was her best friend, is super focused, super smart. Like, her getting into that high school would just be like, no effort. But Miyaka's really focused on it, and Yui wasn't going to go into that school. She was going to go into, like, the normal school to be with all of their friends. But when she found out that Miyaka wanted to try for that school, she decided she'd support her and they'd do it together. So, yeah, that's where the premise is. You really get to know that Yui and Miyaka are really close friends, even though they pick on each other a lot. They're dedicated to each other. So one day Miyaka goes with Yui to the library because Yui's got to drop off some books, and as she comes in the door, she like sees a vending machine that has food, and of course she runs straight to it. But near the vending machines is like this room that's got like restricted access to like books, and she hears a sound in there, so she goes in, and this book falls off the shelf, and she picks it up, and about that time, her and Yui, who comes in at the same time, get sucked into this book. It's called The Universe of the Four Gods. It is a magic book. Um, they're first met by guys who try to like kidnap them and slave trade them, because that's popular to find like young girls alone and slave trade them. And they're rescued by this unknown guy who later introduces himself as Tamahome. Now, as they were like they had like grabbed Yui before this was before he rescued them, and of course Miyaka, being Miyaka, she's tenacious, so she like tried to use wrestling moves to stop them, and Tamahome stepped in, but that was enough for her to turn her back and not notice where Yui went. Well, the book kicked Yui out and left Miyaka in, so naturally Miyaka, not knowing this, thinks that either the slave traders took her or is blaming Tamahome for it, and like her entire existence after that is going around this strange place and searching for Yui. Yui discovers that she can read the book, and that, she watched the priestess of Suzaku's journey. Later, of course, she finds out that it's Miyaka that she's reading about. So in Miyaka's search, she actually ends up bumping into the king of that area, and the king asks her if she wants to be the priestess of Suzaku, and if she's able to fulfill the priestess duties, she'll get a wish, and she can also wish for the country to be at peace and stuff. It's a big deal. Upon finding that she can make a wish, of course, she agrees to do it, and she finds out that there's celestial warriors that she needs to collect to be the priestess for them to do the ceremony, and Hotohori, the king, is one of them, and Tamahome is another. So basically, that journey starts with her just trying to search for the warriors. She finds Noriko and Chichiri, who are also warriors, pretty quick after that, and in pretty interesting ways. But eventually she does get homesick, and they have to travel to a certain place to help her find a way to get home. And they successfully do it. It takes a lot of work, but what she doesn't know is the price of her getting home means that she switches places with Yui, because they're both wearing their school uniforms, and for something to be removed from that world, something else has to be brought into it. And because Yui was wearing the same uniform as her, she was the sacrifice. Miyaka doesn't know this. She goes home. She's so happy to be home. She goes and gets a bath, gets fed and everything, because the book time and her time is way different. Like, it might be only been a few hours in her time that passed, but it was like weeks, I think, in the book time. So she's doing all this, and it's only a couple hours, but Yui was sucked into that world, so like months are going by for Yui. And once she realizes that's what could have happened, she immediately goes back into that book. But by then, Yui is pretty much really scarred, and she's been found by Satyu, the Satyu group, which is another kingdom, and offered the position of priestess of Satyu. She's also being brainwashed by like their main general, who is basically one of the bigger like bad guys in this story. She's convinced that Miyaka hates her, that Miyaka was selfish, that Miyaka didn't care about her, she only wanted to get back to Tamahome. And this entire time, throughout that entire story, Miyaka's fighting to show how much she really loves Yui, and how that's her best friend. You feel the genuine heartbreak and the tension between them. You really see a development in these characters. and you really see, how much they mean to each other. You also get to meet both the Suzaku and Seiryu warriors, and you get to hear about the backstory. Byakko and Genbu have already had their priestesses, and it was a long time ago. And actually, Uwatasi has been cool enough to bring out the Genbu story. I have no idea if she's ever going to bring out the Byakko story, but I have a couple of the books of the Genbu, and it's really awesome. Like, I'm just so happy because anybody who gets deep into Fushigi Yuugi, like, they want to know about the other warriors and stuff because you get to hear little bits about them in the story, but you don't get to hear, like, a ton. And I was super excited when I realized it was coming out, so yeah. I haven't gotten all the books yet, but I've been trying. I've been trying to get the original versions because these actually came out before they started making the books correct manga style, like backwards. So these are actually the forward books, and you can see some of the art is like reversed and stuff. The Genbu ones are correct, but like in my first two books are correct because I couldn't get the originals. But I tried to get as many of the originals as I could, and it's so cool, especially because me and my friends like used to draw the characters. So like a scar would be one way on Chichiri's face, and then you'd find out that it's actually on the other side because they actually like kind of messed up with the art because of having to like you know not have it in correct manga format at first. But yeah, it's a lot of nostalgia for me. Um, I guess I could go directly right into the characters, but the thing is I can't name all the main characters because we would be here for like an hour. But the main characters on the Suzaku side are Miyaka, the priestess of Suzaku, glutton, food addict, really ridiculous. Tamahome, he's kind of a miser. He's always worrying about money and trying to get money, but you find out later he's doing it for his family because he's trying to support them. He ends up being the main love interest for Miyaka. Hotohori, the king, um, he's been obsessed with the priestess. I burped. I'm sorry. Of Suzaku basically his whole life. Chichiri is a monk. Um, Noriko is a crossdresser who's basically in love with the king and has a very, very interesting backstory. But I'm not going to ruin that for you. Like, I don't want to ruin a lot of this for you because it's just so good. Some of it's so heartbreaking, but. And then there's Yui, who is Miyaka's best friend, extremely smart, becomes the priestess of Seiryu. And then the general's name, I can never remember his name. Is it on here? Of course not. Hi, my name is Chris, and I never prepare for anime reviews anymore because I am derpy. What was his name? My friend like had such a hella huge crush on him. But anyways, not all of the hold on. My leg is asleep. Not all of the Seiryu warriors are bad. There's actually really good development for them, so yeah. But most of the people, of course, you meet first are the Suzaku warriors, and some of Miyaka's family and stuff. So, potato. Yeah, I'm not staying very focused. So, overall thoughts on this anime is, for me, it's a 10 out of 10. I could go on for it forever. I could squeal about all my memories and all the people that I freaking adore, and it really got me just drawing a whole lot and just making up some just really neat ideas and stuff, and I give it a 10 out of 10. Now, if it's from anime adaptation from the book, a 9 out of 10. There are some minor things that are different, and they really are minor. Like, when I was, like, a teenager, I was like, this is a big deal! I'm so angry! But, like, really, like, after you've seen, like, read the entirety of the manga and seen the entirety of the series, you find that those changes are just that. They're just really minor, so yeah, I think it's a great adaptation. It's a great story. There's so much emotion put into it. All in all, I recommend it a lot. Like, if you haven't seen it or read the books, please do. This is one of those anime that to me it doesn't feel outdated. It just feels like a really amazing story, and it's probably like it's my top 5. It's probably like number 2 or number 3. So, you know, recommend. Please, like if you get the chance, please watch this show or read the books or both. You won't regret it. You won't. All right. Well, that's pretty much all I have to say, guys, unless you want me to ramble on about my feels. Okay. Bye. Love you guys.